If you're listening to this podcast or catching it on YouTube, welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Show. Today is June 23rd, 2017, and I'm Ken LaSalle from kenlasalle.com, and this is the Two Birds, One Stone episode in which I try to cover as many topics as possible in one show. Will this show be about writing? Absolutely. Will it be about hiking? You bet. Heck, it'll even be about new releases, because my new book, The Rulebook, 3 dozen essays about how the world works, is now available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. And to give you a taste of the Rulebook, I thought I'd include one of the essays in which I talk about, you guessed it, the Pacific Crest Trail. You know, I didn't backpack solo until I wanted to backpack the PCT. And though I still have a lot to learn, there was one lesson I learned on my first day out, which I think makes a good segue to the essay in question. Late last month, I set foot on the Pacific Crest Trail for what turned out to be a short backpacking trip. As I began, I assumed the topic for my next rule for life would be found somewhere out on the trail. Perhaps I reasoned I would be inspired by the scenery, or the time alone, or even just the physical exertion that comes from hiking through the desert. What I did not anticipate was how my topic would come from the other hikers on the trail. The month of April is a busy month on the PCT, which winds up and through the mountains of the West Coast to cross the United States from north to south. Many of those who hike the trail begin in April, and in the time I walked that path, I must have passed at least 50 different hikers. Each one, and in fact nearly everyone, possessed the most optimistic and inspiring attitude. Were I to put their outlook into words, I suppose I would say, everything is a blessing. No kidding, everything is a blessing. Nothing to these people was a setback or a hassle or even a catastrophe, which was difficult for me to comprehend because I was in the midst of my own catastrophe. With a head cold and an arthritic ankle, through constant rain and sometimes near freezing temperatures, my hike was less than pleasant. And I strove to understand this amazing attitude these people held. I'm not going to tell you that I know what it means to say that everything is a blessing, because I know how much it hurts to lose a loved one, or to be cheated, or to experience real fear like so many of you. I don't know how you might easily reconcile a great personal tragedy with this outlook. And yet, I was inspired to watch as these amazing people did just that. Every turned ankle was little more than a reason to rest. Dark weather, to them, just meant a respite from the heat of the sun. One of the young people I met had just fallen down with a full pack on, a really hard spill, and he said to me, "I'm sure glad I fell now instead of later." A part of me wanted to say, "Well, you'll probably fall later, too." I didn't, because I was certain he would be okay with that. So much of our lives are spent these days hedging our bets, anticipating the worst, waiting for the other shoe to drop. When was the last time you reflected upon your afternoon, or your day, or your life, and found yourself happy with what you saw? Why do you think that is? Imagine taking whatever it is that makes your life less than satisfactory and understanding it as a blessing. Because for everything to be a blessing, that means the bad stuff too. I believe that at its core, the idea that everything is a blessing is an expression of your joy at simply being here, simply being alive. How can anything be a tragedy when you're lucky enough to be alive? When you're lucky enough to eat or laugh or be at peace? It's an expression of gratitude towards the universe that brought you out of nothing. It's going to do with you whatever it will. We have very little say about so many things. Our option to misery and hate, fear and futility, is to see everything as a blessing. When I returned from backpacking, I told my friends and family that it was a lesson in Murphy's Law. Everything that could go wrong did. But I also discovered this incredible way of looking at life. And how could I complain when a door had been opened to me to such understanding? Everything is a blessing. The Rulebook is available from Amazon, iTunes, Audible, and around the web in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. It's a short book, so it's competitively priced, and filled with rules to help us experience happier, more authentic lives. A set of rules that cuts through the crap of everyday life to expose what it is we can all agree is true, even if it isn't always what we want to hear. Until next time, be good to yourself, be kind to others, and let's make this world a better place.